Welcome. The following service instructions will address the field installation of the C1 Unloader Kit for CustomAir 1000 series air compressors which have 20 to 30 gallon air receivers manufactured prior to January 30th, 2012. Compressors manufactured prior to January 30th, 2012 will have brass check valves installed. These check valves are located on the aluminum block which is mounted on the radiator assembly inlet. Compressors which were manufactured after January 30th, 2012 do not have brass check valves in the aluminum block that is mounted at the radiator inlet. These compressors require different unloader kit instructions. Getting the compressor ready. The following instructions are for compressors with 20 to 30 gallon tanks. Make sure the main power supply is off to the compressor. This can be achieved by either unplugging the compressor from the wall outlet or turning off the main breaker in the panel. Next, you will need to drain the air from the compressor tank and the clinic lines. Removing the coalescing filter. Disconnect the filter inlet hose by depressing the orange ring on the fitting and pulling the hose out. Next, disconnect the bowl drain hose line. Next, remove the filter bowl by turning a quarter of a turn to the left and pulling down. You will also want to unscrew the red filter element. Now we will be removing the coalescing filter assembly. You will not need to remove the pressure gauge or facility shutoff valve on compressors with 20 to 30 gallon tanks. Clockwise rotation of the left purge valve solenoid may be required to provide clearance for removal and reinstallation of the filter assembly. Unscrew the coalescing filter assembly from the dryer. All fittings will have been removed from the front of the dryer. Now we will do a C1 housing modification. Disconnect the small pressure hose from the slip fitting on the side of the C1 control box. Remove the 4 cover screws that hold the lid on the front of the C1. Next, remove the ribbon cable at the bottom of the lid and disconnect the 2 wires that attach to the hour meter. Finally, remove the 4 C1 mounting screws from the compressor frame and let the C1 hang. Next, mark and drill a 13 32 inch hole through the side of the C1 control box. The hole will be located 3 3/4 inches up from the bottom of the housing and a ½ inch in from the front edge of the housing. Remove any burrs from around the hole and clean any plastic pieces from the inside area. Reattach the C1 control to the compressor frame using the original screws. Next, you will need to install the unloader circuit board to the C1 circuit board. It will be necessary to move the wires out of the way to get the circuit board into place. Line the board up with the terminals on the C1 board and press into place. Reassembly. You will need to apply Loctite 545 thread sealant to all fittings during reassembly. Thread the check valve into the inlet of the dryer tower at the base. Replace the original 90-degree fitting with the T fitting in the side of the coalescing filter housing. Attach the coalescing filter housing and T to the check valve on the dryer. Now attach the unloader to the other side of the T fitting. Next, reinstall the small pressure line tube into the fitting on the side of the C1 control box. Reinstall the air line from the radiator to the coalescing filter inlet. Next, install the new coalescing filter element. Reinstall the bowl over the filter and attach the drain line to the bottom of the bowl. Next, route the unloader valve wires through the hole in the side of the C1 and connect to the new unloader circuit board. Insert the grommet over the wires and into the hole in the C1 housing. Finally, secure the unloader valve wires to the purge valve wires with the wire ties that are supplied in the kit. Now you will want to remove the nut from the check valve located on the top of the radiator and remove the O-ring, ball, and spring. Clean and reinstall the nut into the check valve body. Reapply power to the compressor. Make sure the valve is closed to the clinic air line. Start the compressor and allow it to pump up. Listen for the unloader purge at startup and shutdown. Watch the pressure gauge to make sure pressure does not drop from leaks in the facility. You may need to check connections for air leaks with soapy water. If you find a leak, drain the air from the tank before undoing any fittings. After verifying there are no leaks and the unloader works properly, apply air pressure to the clinic line. Cycle the compressor several times to make sure everything is working properly. For further information, contact Ramvac Tech Support at 1-800-572-6822 or 866-383-4636, option 4.